begins with the soft hum of the AGT crowd settling into their seats, unaware that they are moments away from witnessing something unforgettable. An 8-year-old Filipino girl named Amira steps onto the massive stage, her tiny hands gripping a weathered little guitar almost too big for her small frame. The bright lights make her squint for a second, and she takes a nervous breath as the judges, Simon, Heidi, Sophia, and Howie, look at her with curiosity. When Simon asks her name and what she will perform, her voice shakes gently as she explains that she wrote an original song about her family's journey through the war in her home country. The crowd murmurs, surprised that someone so young carries such heavy stories. The moment she strums the first chord, the room goes silent. Her voice, soft yet full of aching honesty, tells of nights when her family hid from explosions, of how she held her younger brother's hand to keep him calm, and how she saw her mother cry quietly in the dark. Her lyrics paint images so real that people in the audience begin wiping their eyes. When she reaches the part about losing their home and leaving everything behind, her voice cracks just enough to break everyone's heart, and then she continues, steady and brave. Simon leans forward, completely captured by her emotional storytelling. By the time she sings the final line, the arena is silent for a full second, as if no one even dared to breathe. Then the entire place erupts into applause. Amira's eyes widen in disbelief as Simon stands, walks to his buzzer, and, without a word, slams his hand down. The golden buzzer explodes above her, raining gold confetti over the stage. She covers her mouth, overwhelmed, and her mother rushes out from backstage to hold her tightly. Simon tells her through the noise that her voice is something the world needs to hear. The moment instantly becomes one of the most emotional golden buzzer moments in AGT history. Episode 2 opens by following Amira's backstory, taking viewers far from the AGT stage to a small coastal village in the Philippines where she once lived with her parents and younger brother. Her life was simple, sunny days, street games with friends, church songs, and her father teaching her how to play guitar under a mango tree. But everything changed when conflict reached their region. Amira explains in her soft voice how loud booms shook their nights, how her mother packed what little they could carry, and how her father lifted her brother in his arms as they ran through smoke-filled streets. They fled to evacuation centers where hundreds of frightened families gathered. There, surrounded by crying children and worried adults, Amira began to sing. She sang to calm others, to remind them they were still alive, and to give them a tiny piece of hope. Her father encouraged her, telling her that her voice was a light no war could dim. But as the conflict worsened, the family made the heartbreaking decision to leave the country entirely. AGT producers follow their journey to the United States, showing interviews with her mother, who breaks down as she says that Amira carried them emotionally through the darkest moments. They show footage of the family adjusting to life in a new country, small apartment, new school, new language, but a growing sense of safety. Amira keeps singing everywhere she goes, writing down lyrics in a tiny notebook she carries in her pocket. One day, her school music teacher records her singing and sends the video to AGT auditions. That single moment changes everything. The episode ends with Amira preparing for her next AGT performance, practicing her song while her mother watches proudly, knowing their little girl is carrying the voice of so many children who lived through the same pain. Begins as Amira returns to the AGT stage for Judge Cuts, a round known for pressure, nerves, and breathtaking performances. Backstage, she holds her small guitar close, whispering to herself the same words her father used to tell her, "Be brave, Anik." Her mother watches with hopeful, tear-filled eyes as producers capture every trembling breath. When her name is called, Amira walks onto a dim stage glowing with soft blue lights, creating an atmosphere that feels like a calm night after a storm. The judges sit upright, eager to see how the young Golden Buzzer winner will follow such a powerful first audition. When Simon asks what she will sing, she explains it's an original titled, "Home in My Heart," a song about missing her homeland, remembering her friends, and trying to rebuild a sense of safety in a new place. The audience grows silent as she adjusts the mic and plucks the first gentle notes. Her voice comes out delicate yet full, floating across the stage like a warm breeze. As she sings about watching the sea from her old village, how she misses the laughter of her childhood friends, and how home is not a building but a feeling carried inside the heart, the camera pans across the audience capturing watery eyes, soft smiles, and even hands pressed over hearts. Her lyrics speak of longing, resilience, and the quiet hope that despite pain, a brighter future always waits. When she hits the chorus, her voice grows stronger, surprising even the judges. Heidi whispers, "Wow," while Sophia leans forward, captivated. Simon closes his eyes, visibly moved by the emotional depth coming from someone so young. As the song reaches its final note, Amira ends with a soft whisper of hope, letting the last note linger in the air. The room freezes for a moment before erupting into a standing ovation. The judges praise her endlessly. Heidi calls her a tiny warrior, Sophia says her voice can heal hearts, and Howie tells her she sings with the soul of someone who has lived 1,000 lifetimes. But the most emotional reaction comes from Simon, who tells her that she is not only a singer but a storyteller with the rare ability to move the entire world. Online clips of her performance go viral within hours, earning millions of views and thousands of comments from people around the globe who felt touched by her story. Backstage, Amira cries into her mother's arms, overwhelmed but happy that her message of hope reached so many people. Episode 4 begins with the bright energy of the live shows, where the stakes are higher, the stage is larger, and America begins to vote. Amira walks into the rehearsal room and sees a full orchestra waiting for her, something she never imagined in her life. She blushes shyly when the conductor greets her. They walk her through the arrangement of her new song, a powerful ballad inspired by her father's bravery during the hardest days of war. The lyrics describe how he shielded them during explosions, how he carried her brother when they ran for safety, and how he whispered words of strength even when his own heart was breaking. As the live show begins, Amira steps onto the stage wearing a simple, elegant white dress. The massive screens behind her project visuals of rising suns, peaceful landscapes, and gentle waves, symbolizing hope after chaos. When she begins singing, the orchestra joins softly at first, lifting her voice without overwhelming it. Her vocals ring across the theater, pure and angelic, causing the audience to lean in with emotion. Throughout the performance, her expressions shift from sadness to determination, then to radiant hope as she belts out the final chorus. Many in the audience wipe tears, and the camera catches a few stunned faces, deeply moved. When she finishes, the crowd roars with applause, rising to their feet instantly. The judges react with overwhelming praise. Howie calls it one of the best performances of the night. Sophia says her voice feels like a prayer for peace, and Heidi tells her she has the spirit of a true artist. Simon, visibly emotional again, tells her that her artistry is beyond her age and that her message is exactly what America needs to hear. As voting opens, social media explodes with support, and fans across the country urge others to vote for her. Backstage, Amira hugs her family tightly, knowing she just delivered one of the most powerful moments of the season. Begins with the studio buzzing with anticipation as Amira prepares for the semi-finals, a stage filled with bright lights, louder crowds, and nationwide attention. Backstage, she sits quietly with her guitar on her lap, her feet dangling off the chair, too short to touch the ground. Her mother kneels in front of her, brushing her hair and whispering prayers of strength and peace. Producers film her as she practices her breathing, eyes closed, humming the melody of her new song, an emotional anthem about peace and the right of every child in the world to feel safe. The crew adjusts the stage lighting to soft golds and whites, giving the impression of sunrise after a dark storm. When the host calls her name, she stands up with a bravery that seems far too big for an 8-year-old. As soon as she steps onto the stage, the entire arena falls silent. She stands in the center wearing a simple white dress with tiny silver stars embroidered across it, like a symbol of children shining even in darkness. The stage around her is empty at first, with only a single spotlight falling gently onto her like a protective halo. As the soft music begins, she closes her eyes and sings the first note, a note so delicate yet so full of emotion that even the judges sit perfectly still. Her voice rises as she sings about children dreaming of safety, about holding hope in their hands even when surrounded by fear, and about wishing that one day, no child would ever have to understand what war means. As she moves into the chorus, the stage slowly brightens and a subtle orchestra fades in, lifting her voice to incredible heights. The visuals behind her show silhouettes of children holding lanterns, walking from darkness into light, symbolizing resilience and unity. The audience is visibly moved, with many wiping tears and holding their hands over their hearts. Her final high note echoes across the room, clear and powerful, stunning everyone for a full moment before the crowd erupts into applause. The judges stand immediately. Howie calls it a moment America will never forget. Sophia says she has the voice of an angel sent to heal, and Heidi praises her bravery and message. Simon speaks last, slowly, clearly emotional, saying she represents hope for millions and that her voice carries the kind of truth that can change lives. Online reactions explode instantly, with fans across America posting clips, calling her the heart of the season. Backstage, Amira cries tears of relief in her mother's arms, and even the stage crew applauds her as she walks past them. Hours later, the results come in and she advances to the grand finale, becoming one of the youngest finalists in AGT history. Episode 6 begins with the electric energy of finale night. The stage is massive, the lights brilliant, and the audience louder than ever. Amira arrives early to rehearse, unaware that AGT has prepared a surprise for her, a duet with a well-known Filipino artist she has admired since childhood. When the artist steps onto the rehearsal stage, Amira freezes, her jaw dropping in shock before she bursts into happy tears. They rehearse together, their voices blending beautifully, creating a harmony that moves even the producers watching from offstage. As the live show begins, the host introduces her with a powerful build-up, reminding America of her journey from a war-torn village to this grand moment. The stage darkens as she takes her place, wearing a soft blue dress that symbolizes peace and hope. The duet partner joins her as the music begins with a gentle piano. They sing a song about courage, about rebuilding lives, about believing that even the smallest voice can rise above fear. As they move into the chorus, the orchestra swells behind them, and images of children from around the world appear on the giant screens. Their harmonies blend perfectly, each note filled with emotion, lifting the audience into quiet awe. The crowd listens intensely, many crying as her tiny voice fills the massive theater with strength beyond her years. When they reach the final chorus, the lights brighten to warm gold, and she hits a note so pure that even the judges look stunned. The performance ends with a thunderous standing ovation lasting several seconds. Backstage, her family embraces her tightly, overwhelmed by pride. Finally, the moment arrives for the results. The host announces the winner, and when he calls her name, Amira gasps, covering her face as the audience erupts with cheers. Confetti rains down once again, this time not gold, but a rainbow that symbolizes hope and unity. She steps forward, tears streaming down her cheeks, and Simon tells her that she is a symbol of courage for millions around the world. America celebrates her victory, and her story spreads internationally. A little girl who once sang to survive now sings to inspire the world.